Hello, this is Mr. Wyrick. Since we just have lesson 3.6 because we had to miss for the PSAT, I figured I'd go over some information for you from chapter 3. So I'm looking at the study guide and review out of the book, kind of letting you know what you need to look for on the test. Make sure that you understand skew lines, alternate interior, alternate exterior, perpendicular, transversal, supplementary, corresponding, all these things that we've been looking at up to now. Again, make sure skew, you have that one, you know the definition, you know what it means. Transversals, make sure you can identify which is going to be your transversal. If you have two lines sitting there, no matter what they're doing, we've been dealing with mostly parallels, but the other line coming across them, that's the transversal. And it doesn't matter how those lines are aligned. If there's only one line going across two, that's going to be your transversal. In some cases, they'll have 4 or 5 lines. You have to figure out which one is being the transversal in that case. Lesson 3.1 was angles and parallel lines. So again, those alternate interior, the corresponding, the alternate exterior, those are going to be your ones that should be congruent if they're parallel. And then, of course, the consecutive interior angles should be the ones that add up to 180 degrees. The slopes of lines that we did on lesson 3.3, again, it's changing y over changing x. This is an algebra concept, but it's coming back. So understand not just how to find the slopes of lines, but if they are parallel, they have the same slope but a different y-intercept. If they are perpendicular, then they would have opposite reciprocal. So instead of 1/2, it would be a -2/1, which is a slope of -2. Instead of 3/4, it would be a -4/3. You flip it over the fraction line and then you make it negative. You can also think of it as kind of the contrapositive of the same thing. We're moving it and we're making it the negation. So it has ties back to some geometric things we've been talking about this year. The equations of lines on 3.4, make sure you know the difference and how to write it in point-slope format and how to write it in slope-intercept. Slope-intercept is the one you're probably more used to from your Algebra 1 class. Lesson 3.5 was proving that lines are parallel. So it goes back to those corresponding angles, those vertical angles, those alternate interior angles. If those were congruent, then we know we are looking at a pair of parallel lines. If two lines are perpendicular to the same line, then they are parallel. So make sure you take a look at those theorems. 3.6, perpendiculars and distance is the last one. You're drawing a perpendicular, you know that that's going to be the shortest distance, and then you use that to calculate your distance. Don't forget the distance formula or the Pythagorean theorem, whichever one you are more comfortable using. It might be worth your time, if you'd like, to go to page 229, take a look at that practice test. I'm not worried about right answers necessarily, but you can always ask questions on Friday before we begin the exam that come from that practice test. So if you look at that practice test, if there's one there that you don't know how to do or you don't know how they got the answer to it, you can look it up in the back or you can come in and ask me about it. Good luck on your test on Friday.